Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Black and Blue Pod. I'm your host, as pretty much always, Matt McLaughlin, with an artist that I've been a fan of for a while now. He reached out via Instagram when I called into the Pat McAfee show, really showed some love, and I wanted to show some love back and wanted to bring him on the show just to kind of tell his story, talk about rap now. And that is the one, the only, the Philly native, of course, is Artimes Prime. Artimes, thank you for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I've been listening to you here and there. I really think it's cool that Philly has like a cool sports podcast and some gambling tips, all that stuff. So yeah, I've been a fan of yours too, man. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course. And I appreciate all the love and support that this show gets, because who knows when this run will be over. It may reach 20 people, but if it reaches those 20 people and they have a good day because of it, that's all that matters. And I feel like that's the same with music a lot of the times. So,
Exactly.
So first of all, just wanted to jump right into your background here. Like, you grew up in Philly. To me, my generation, I should say, the Philly artists have been Meek Mill and Lil Uzi Vert for a long time. So I just wanted to get like your background. What was your upbringing, and what were the type of artists that you were attracted to that really got you into hip hop in general?
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm actually from the Philly area, but I actually grew up in Bucks County, which is about like a half hour outside of
Oh,
outside of the city. I did spend the early part of my life in Philly, but then my family then moved over to Bucks. But yeah, so I had a pretty, I'd say, normal upbringing. My parents just worked hard, and we got a pretty good life. Life. We always had food on the table and everything. So pretty normal life. I can't complain. Parents did everything they could. So yeah, definitely interesting. To kind of go through, I guess, a different perspective than some other hip hop artists go through. Growing up, the guys that really, I think, I was drawn to were guys like Common, guys like Kanye West. A little more of a conscious message, because that was kind of more of what I was relating to when I was younger versus some of the other stuff. So yeah, I would say those guys were probably some of my big, main influences. And then a Lil Wayne, as I got a little older too, he made some great stuff. But yeah, I would say those guys.
Definitely some good picks there, especially Lil Wayne. People forget about mixtape Lil Wayne in like
Right.
mid 2000s, and he's dropping No Ceilings. His mixtapes were better than his albums, and it was
Mhm.
absolutely wild back then. Did you have any of those like specific albums that stuck out to you growing up? Because for me, it was Ready to Die, Illmatic, Straight Outta Compton. Yes, a white kid in suburbia grew up on Straight Outta Compton. Just that happened. Were there any other albums? And I could have mentioned some, but were there any albums like that? You mentioned Kanye and Common. Were there any albums from those guys, or maybe other artists that you really enjoyed that stuck out in your head as a kid?
Yeah, definitely. I would say Kanye's album Graduation. That was a really big one for me, because I kind of fell out of hip hop a little bit, and then I kind of got back into it with that album. So yeah, that one. I like the Carter Three a lot too. As far as Wayne's albums, I think that was a well put together album. And Common's album B, man, the album B, I really just love that, the production, which was mainly Kanye on that too, I believe. So the those 3 years, as far as I was in high school, around in high school, and a little bit of college. But yeah, so those, I'd say those albums were pretty big for me, as far as like really hitting me in the right nerve to inspire me.
Yeah, definitely. I can totally see that. And just listening to your music, definitely harnessing on a conscious message and putting a message behind the lyrics that may not be as prevalent, to say the least, in hip hop today. Your discography is really interesting to me, because it's the only album, I should say, listed on your Apple Music page is a 10-track album. And then
Mhm.
you have these smaller EPs, which I think is really good, because we're in an age where, to me, like 18, 20 tracks is just getting to be too much. And those were the days in like the mid 2000s, even before then, where it's just like, listen, we want to give them as much as possible. Let's stock up, save our best 20, and put them out there. Did you Did you ever think about that as you're developing your sound of, listen, let me just break this down, make it easy to listen, keep the retention rate, and hopefully that'll grow and age and progress. Was that a huge factor for you?
Um, I would say as far as for size of projects and everything, yeah. I'd say in today's world, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to release a whole lot of 10, 15, 20, albums. Every now and then I don't think it's a bad idea because I think it's good for artists to challenge themselves. But yeah, as far as the length, I'd say so. As far as the content, I've kind of always written like just what I'm feeling, and then I try to make it creative. I try to just not feel like I'm just saying it. So I try to put it in cool, different metaphors or something like that. I mean, depending on what it is, sometimes you just have to say it. Sometimes there are certain things that like I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
It's just the black and white of it. But I would say as far as content, yeah, I kind of write what I write, and people either like it or they don't.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I think that's what people have to realize with a lot of artists. And there's like in sports, there's always the comparison of a Kobe and Jordan. There's always a comparison of LeBron and Magic. Like, it's so difficult to compare certain artists with certain eras because, like, I would love if I could like drop myself in any era of music. It would probably be New York, 1990s. You had Wu Tang, Jay Z, Nas, all coming up, and Biggie was there before he unfortunately got killed. That to me is my favorite type. And there's always, and now the last 20 years have just been dominated by Atlanta trap sound, which is great. It's always good to see a new city come up with, Lil Baby recently has been dominating, Future, Young Thug, these guys coming out of the ATL. It's been great. But like, I just want to get your thoughts on it. Do you reminisce and like, because to me, your music sounds a lot like the Black Star type of almost underground and like alternative type of rap scene.
Mhm.
Is that a big niche that you're trying to hit? Is the not trying to hit, because obviously art speaks for itself, but is that what you're thinking about, like how you want to express yourself as you're putting this music together?
Um, I mean, it's always kind of tough because I guess you want to do a little something different with every project in a certain way. So it's always a little tough to say, definitely yeah or not, yes or no. But I would say, yeah, that's the sound that inspires me, more of a soul sound. That's just what gets me. That's just what hits me. Now I will have songs coming out that I should say, are for other tastes as well. But I would say for the most part, most of my songs are always going to be, and I think of a soul type of conscious vibe in one way. I mean, through different ways, but yeah, I think it's always going to be have at least an element of that sound in it. Just because, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I absolutely do actually. That's some of the best hip hop ever made, in my opinion. Tribe Called Quest,
Oh my
Nas,
God, Tribe Called Quest is a
Biggie.
slept on group. Slept on group. The
Yeah,
Low End Theory, that will always be in my rotation.
dude, it's just that was a huge thing for me too. Just that sound and how they just rapped and like so smooth, and you could tell like I love them because like they didn't. I could tell they don't care if you like it or not, and that's what like I love, like the way they were rap. Sometimes people are like, some of the bars are, but like it was the way they did it, and how it was just so cool. It was just so cool how they did it. So that's probably always going to be at least an element in my music, probably.
No, definitely. I can totally hear that through the music. And, you know, Tribe Called Quest is, first of all, amazing. If you haven't listened to
Yeah.
Tribe Called Quest and you're a rap fan, you're not a rap fan. Just
Nah,
my
man.
opinion. The Tribe
Right.
Called Quest, Low End Theory is one of those albums. It's like, this is mandatory. This is just one of those albums you got to play all the way through. And I had a question. Oh, and obviously your music has gained traction as time has progressed, and I think it's really great what you said, that you're just sticking with you pretty much, and you're doing what you want to do through this music. And it's kind of like what I compare it to. The most notable example, of course, is J. Cole. He went through years and years of trying to hone his sound, and then got the deal with Rockefeller, and then Sideline Story kind of was there for what people were expecting. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on getting that recognition, because you've gotten recognition. You were number 8 on the Source's top indie artist list in the world, which was, first of all, congratulations on that. That's absolutely phenomenal, and it's great to see a couple of Philly artists, because your Philly colleague Del P was also on there. He was one step above you at number 7, which I'm sure your competitive fire is just killing you for that. What was that like, seeing that just either on your phone? Like, how'd you get that news, and what was that like just hearing that news, first of all?
Man, yeah, it was actually this local A&R promoter, shout out Wild Tuna. Yeah, he told me about it, and it was crazy. It was crazy.
Sure.
It was crazy to hear, but I was happy to hear that the hard work was paying off, and that I am seeing results. That this is going somewhere, because sometimes there's some dark days in this. So yeah, that was just a crazy experience, and it really just kind of fed the fire to keep going. Shout out Del P. He makes great music, man. He's a great guy. If there's a Philly guy that's going to be above me, I'm not mad that it's him. But that just goes to that's just more of a fire for me to be that much better, which is also why I love that Philly is my scene, because you have people like Del P who are just pushing you, mad squabbles. So I love that I have guys to keep me on my toes.
Definitely. And I think that's great. I want to see a Philly scene pop off the way New York was popping with Pop Smoke before he tragically passed away.
Right.
Atlanta's bubbling now. And to me, my life has been, Meek Mill, but Meek Mill and Lil Uzi Vert, they're stars now. They're beyond the city. And I think having that scene with you, Del P, that's two guys right there that could really establish a culture. And I'm really excited to see what the city can offer next from artists. H2O is also another artist. He's more melodic in some of his songs, but he's also another guy coming out of Philly that really, really good music altogether. And obviously the last couple of years have been tough, I'm sure, with COVID. What was it like for you as an artist going through COVID, especially a smaller artist? What was that like, and how did you deal with that adversity of, at the world shut down, I can't really do shows, which is a big source of revenue? Like, what was that like, just handling that adversity?
Man, really, you just have to learn, you just have to learn to adjust. That's really what it comes down to. You just got to adjust. I just put more of an emphasis on getting my content more out there, getting my songs more out there. I released Quarantine towards the beginning of the whole pandemic with my producer Digital Crates, and we just kind of pushed that. We put money into creating content for it, videos, and just pushing it, and that was actually a huge step, a huge jump for me to get a new kind of level of fan base and a new type of recognition. So yeah, that's really what it comes down to, is just, if you can't be out there, just be on your phone that much more, but not wasting time on it, working on it, or working on your computer. So it pretty much just came down to that, just more promotion online and things of that nature.
And I saw on your Instagram, you have like a few TikToks, of course, because everyone's getting into TikTok.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm trying to learn.
Of course, everyone's trying to learn. I'm an old soul. I feel like the 40-year-old man's like, what's this TikTok? What is this TikTok that the kids are doing? And I'm 18 years old, and meanwhile, I gotta try and talk to girls that are just doing the renegade and all this other bullshit. And I'm like, what? Why am I born in this generation? But that's a whole different story. So now, coming out of COVID, things are opening up a little bit in Pennsylvania and the country as a whole. What's the plan? Is there any plan in place, or are you just kind of going with the flow and just making music and seeing what you like and don't like? Like, what's the idea and the road looking like moving forward?
It's definitely looking up. It's definitely looking positive. We are probably going to throw at least a show or two. I'm thinking this summer. We're still trying to figure out exactly where and trying to work all that out. But yeah, definitely shows are definitely on the brink. I actually just did a show for another Philly artist and promoter. Shout out Hollywood Him last Tuesday for 420. So that was a great event. So yeah, it's definitely starting to look up. So yeah, it's basically just looking for more of that, and we'll be releasing a lot more new content, and a lot more new music is on the way too.
Definitely. I'm really excited to hear what new music is on the way. And, I just want to get into a little bit more about the current rap scene and get your thoughts on that. Like it how do I say this delicately? It is not what the 90s once was, as we talked about a little bit earlier on the show. I specifically wanted to talk about this artist because I just wanted to hear your perspective on it. Playboy Cardi drops a whole lot of red. Do you think it was trash, fire? Or did you not listen to it?
I didn't listen to it. I didn't listen to it, man.
Saved your ears from my perspective. You saved your ears. Good. Oh my God.
I don't really listen to a whole lot of Playboy Cardi. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm 30 years old, so
a little bit past your age demographic, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I try to stay current as much as I can, but I mean, I never really listen to a Playboy Cardi song that really hit me like that. So so if you're like a young generation artist, like you got to really hit me, or else I'm probably just gonna skip. I'm probably not gonna know.
Just gonna skip that. You can just skip that shit.
Yeah, I'm just gonna skip it.
We're two minds. We're two alike minds. So has there been like an artist that's you've been trying to get for a feature or anything like that and they've responded and said, hey, let's link up or anything like that? Has there been an artist like that you're just like, whoa, I can't believe I'm working with this person?
Well, I would say I got a feature from Mickey Fax, which was pretty great. He was a really good battle rapper, and then he was someone who was actually able to transition into being, self-sustained independent rapper. So I got a feature from him. I have had a feature from Young Dirty Bastard, which is ODB's son. Rest in peace, ODB.
Yes, so, rest in peace, ODB.
That was really cool. And we're working on a feature with Raekwon right now from Wu-Tang Clan.
Wow.
So
wow.
Yeah, we're working on that. It's not 100% yet, but it's looking good. It's looking good. So yeah, that'll be a great vibe. And
I die happy right there. I die happy. I'd be like, what the fuck am I doing right now? I'm working with Raekwon from Wu-Tang Clan. What the fuck? I'd be losing my shit. I cannot believe that. So there's obviously been we're kind of the same person here. Another big question in hip hop: does Drake have a classic? Now, before you can ponder that a little bit, in my opinion, Nothing Was the Same is his only classic. Now, that may be a little bit of a hot take with the So Far Gone fans and the earlier Drake fans, and take care, but to me, Nothing Was the Same is the album that's aged the most and has been the best, the album I go to the most. I want to get your thoughts on that just as a fan. I don't know if you're a big fan of Drake. Like, what do you think about that debate?
No, yeah, Drake. I used to be a big fan of Drake just because there was some similarities. Him and guys like Kanye kind of showed, you don't have to be a certain type to be a rapper as long as you're honest, as long as you kind of make good music. But then I found out about some of the ghostwriting stuff, and I was like, all right. He definitely lost some notches with me with that. But I would actually, I'm not just saying this, I would actually agree with you. Nothing Was the Same is, in my opinion as well, his best album as far as in terms of classic. When you mean like exactly, like you can revisit it and it's really good. Now, there's a lot of Drake projects that there's only a few songs that we visit. The rest you're probably like, all right, this is kind of dated. So I would actually agree with you. I do think there was some classics on Take Care. I do think I do remember, Take Care was when I was in college. So that was a pretty cool time to be listening to that album, so there was some classics on that one. But I would probably say, yeah, Nothing Was the Same. I would probably agree as far as out of all his projects. I think if you're going to call one a classic, that's the one to call a classic.
Tuscan Leather, banger. Mm-hmm. All Me, banger. Wu-Tang Forever, banger. Like, and that's not to discredit his other projects. If I could get an interview with Drake, again, I'll die happy. I'll be fine with that. But that being said, we're two guys that value lyricism, ghostwriting. I understand collaboration, obviously, but as a rapper, you're not coming up with your own rhymes. That's just it's a hard thing. I respect Drake. He's a megastar. He's probably one of the biggest music stars ever, period. But as a rapper, that's where it gets a little bit tough. It gets a little bit tough for me. I mean,
Right.
and that Pusha T beef when they were going back and forth, woo, Pusha T just flamed him. He threw him on the grilled him up for a little bit, flipped that over for 4 hours. Drake was done after that. I don't know how much you could say about that, but yeah, just to keep on going here. An artist that I don't know if you've listened to him, but JID. JID is one of my favorite artists coming out of Atlanta, probably favorite artist, period. He isn't even coming out of Atlanta. He's established at this point. Do you listen to JID? Have you listened to his couple of albums that have dropped? Are you a fan of him?
I haven't listened to him as much as I should, but yes, I have heard him. I have heard some, some of his songs, and I've heard a lot of him on the Dreamville stuff. Yeah, he's really great.
He's amazing.
Yeah. And I know there's a few young guys now. There's a few more young ones that have, his type of energy, his type of vibe. So that's a great thing. I think that's kind of how things usually work. How everything, including music, works. It's a pendulum. So it goes one way, but then eventually it does come back the other, and it just that's kind of the flow. That's kind of the flow of everything. So yeah, he's a dope artist, and I definitely gotta take a deeper look into his catalog and really dive in.
Highly recommend him and Black. Black is also great R&B bag. I could vibe to him all day. He's amazing. Just Atlanta in general is coming out with some great artists. I am just getting a little bit tired of the trap sound a little bit. I respect Lil Baby for all the success he's had. Future, Young Thug, those guys are legends. But as a guy that values lyricism, would like to see the East Coast bring it back a little bit.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask probably the last few questions here. First of all, if you who is one artist that doesn't get as much coverage as you think he or she should?
That's a good question. I think NF is pretty talented. But it's kind of, I want to say him, but also like when he does release, like the people, like he gets a lot of numbers. So it's almost kind of like he kind of does make a little bit of noise and then stops making noise, I guess.
And it feels like NF is one of those guys where he can drop and people love this song. It's just one of those songs you don't realize it's him. So it's like, oh, you're a fan of NF, and then I talked to someone who's posting NF on Snapchat because they're in their bag or whatever. And I'm like, oh, you like NF? And they respond to me, who? And I'm like, all right, well, really? This is the point we're at? Like, really? If you're gonna post the song on your story or whatever, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But at least know who the artist is. Like, I never thought we'd get to that point, but like at least know who the artist is. Like I never thought we'd get to that point where it's just like, oh yeah, let me post a song. I have no idea who it is. But that's my whole social media rant because I'm an old man, like I said.
I feel you.
So J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, both rumored to have projects coming out soon. Hopefully, dear God, Kendrick, please bless us. If you could pick one of those guys to drop, who would you pick and why?
Definitely J. Cole. I love Kendrick. Shout out to Kendrick. Great inspiration of mine, especially. I look to him to help sometimes with like some performance stuff. He's a great inspiration. But J. Cole makes music that I can identify with a lot. He's probably my favorite artist. I didn't get into him until I was a little older. In college and a little bit after. But yeah. So he just makes music that so many people can relate to. It's such a broad stroke, and the way that he paints it, it's like he's talking just to you. It's just crazy how he uses whatever beat is behind him and how he uses the words. It's just the way he develops. It really is like he says he's really is painting, and he's just so good at it. He's like a modern day Nas, really. So yeah, J. Cole would definitely be the guy.
All right. Well, that about does it for me. Thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Another friend of the show. Always happy, always excited. Hopefully can come out to a show this summer. Let me know when those shows are coming out. I'll be happy to stop by and pop out. And I think it'll be a fun time. So thank you again for coming on the show. Really appreciate it, man. And go stream his latest EP. Why did I blank on the name?
It's all right. It's The Heart of Winter.
I had that in my notes. I just saw it and I missed the bullet point. This is the type of preparation you come for, folks. Of course. Thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate it, man. And always have a good one, folks.